ahead of Trump's booking in Georgia. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is the early edition of Tyrone Bowman Tonight. So let's just get right down to the heart of this story, according to the Washington Post. As law enforcement officials began to prepare for Donald Trump's expected surrender Thursday at the Fulton County Jail on charges he illegally conspired to overturn his 2020 election loss, two of the former president's co-defendants turned themselves in while two others appealed to a federal judge for permission not to show up at all. John Eastman, a conservative attorney and the legal architect of a plan to use false slates of Republican electors to keep Trump in office, reported to the jail Tuesday, becoming the first Trump advisor to be formally booked in the sprawling criminal racketeering case, alleging he, Trump, and 17 others were part of a vast criminal enterprise to reverse Joe Biden's 2020 win in Georgia. Eastman was released on a $100,000 bond shortly after the surrender of another co-defendant in the Georgia case, Scott Hall, a bail bondsman implicated in the alleged breach of election data in Coffee County, Georgia, who was released on a $10,000 bond. But as bail negotiations continued Tuesday for others charged in the Georgia election case, two other former Trump advisors asked a federal judge to block Fulton County District Attorney Fannie T. Willis, a Democrat, from having them arrested as they seek to move their cases from state court into federal court. Good luck. Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark filed separate emergency motions asking U.S. District Court Judge Steve C. Jones to stay the Fulton County case and allow them to ignore a deadline set by Willis to surrender by noon Friday until he rules on whether their cases can be moved out of state court. Meadows' motion filed late Tuesday afternoon included emails between Meadows' legal team and Willis asking her to consider deferring Meadows' voluntary surrender in the Georgia case to next week, after a federal court hearing scheduled for Monday on Meadows' request to move the case to federal court. Willis refused. I'm not granting any extensions, Willis wrote in an email sent at 6:25 a.m. Tuesday. Disclosed as part of Meadows' motion, I gave 2 weeks for people to surrender themselves to the court. Your client is no different than any other criminal defendant in this jurisdiction. The 2 weeks window, Willis wrote, was a tremendous courtesy. At 12:30 p.m. on Friday, I shall file warrant in the system, she wrote. Meadows' attorney pressed the judge to issue an order prohibiting Willis from arresting or causing the arrest of Meadows. Before Monday's hearing, Clark's attorneys made a similar request. Jones ordered Fulton County prosecutors to respond to the filings by Wednesday afternoon. Willis has also been ordered to respond to Meadows' removal request by Wednesday. Meadows petitioned last week to shift the case to federal court, arguing the conduct cited in the Georgia indictment relates to his duties as a federal official. Clark, a former Justice Department official who allegedly plotted ways of using the department to amplify Trump's false claims of election fraud and replace slates of legitimate electors with Trump electors, filed a similar motion late Monday night. Both men have argued in court filings they cannot be prosecuted because they were performing duties related to their jobs as federal officials. The legal maneuvering came as attention shifted to the surrender of Trump and his co-defendants at the jail, where security measures around the building and along nearby streets have intensified in recent days amid anticipation of the former president's formal arrest. The Fulton County Sheriff's Office, which manages the jail and oversees security around the facility, warned of a hard lockdown ahead of Trump's expected surrender on Thursday, including 4 reporters who have stalked out areas around the building in an attempt to spot and speak to Trump's co-defendants as they report to jail ahead of Friday's deadline. On Monday, a judge approved a $200,000 bond agreement for Trump, who said on social media that he plans to travel to Atlanta on Thursday The judge also approved bond agreements for several other defendants, including Eastman, who reported to the jail around 10 a.m. on Tuesday and was released shortly after noon. In a statement, Easton said he surrendered in person to an indictment that should never have been brought and vowed to vigorously defend himself in court. He slammed the charges as an attempt to criminalize the right of individuals to seek advice from legal counsel and said the indictment targets attorneys for their zealous advocacy on behalf of their clients. Let me ask you a question. These so-called alleged crimes that they say that are alleged, if former President Barack Obama was in the same situation arguing the same arguments that they're using, do you think that MAGA Republicans would be so sensitive to Obama and his plight of innocence? No, they would not. They would verbally castrate him to no end. And individuals, especially black individuals, we don't get this favorable treatment. We are presumed guilty, no matter what the charges are. We are presumed guilty, and even after acquitted, we're still presumed guilty. So why should these people be afforded any special privilege at this time? Across town, bail negotiations continued inside the Fulton County Courthouse between the District Attorney's Office and attorneys for those charged in the case. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, who was overseeing the case, signed off on several agreements, paving the way for co-defendants to surrender at the jail in coming days. McAfee approved a $100,000 bond for former Trump campaign attorney Jenna Ellis. A $10,000 bond was approved for Georgia State Senator Sean Still, Republican, who is facing charges related to his role as a Trump elector. A $75,000 bail agreement was reached for Catlin, who was also charged for her alleged role in the breach in Coffee County. Former Trump campaign official Mike Roman, who was charged for his role in assisting the alternate elector plan, was issued a $50,000 bond agreement. Georgia Attorney Robert Cheeley, who touted false claims of election fraud alongside former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani before the Georgia legislature, was also given a $50,000 bond. McAfee approved a $75,000 bond agreement for former Georgia Republican Party Chair David Schaefer, who was facing charges for his role in the assembling of Trump's electors. Late Monday, Schaefer joined Meadows and Clark in filing to move his case to federal court, claiming his role as a Trump elector makes him a federal official. Schaefer has long contended that he and other electors were acting on the legal advice of Trump's campaign attorneys, who advised them to meet to protect Trump's rights amid litigation over the Georgia results. I can't make this stuff up. His federal filing included a transcript of the meeting of electors in which Trump attorney Ray Smith, also charged in the Georgia case, is quoted addressing the electors before they signed documents, falsely stating Trump won Georgia. We're conducting this business because the contest of the election in Georgia is ongoing, Smith told the group according to the transcript. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender, never quit.